At 15, I got my first period and stained the back seat of my mom's BMW. She yanked my hair and dragged me out of the car, then casually grabbed her several $1,000 bag and slammed it against my lower abdomen. As she slapped me hard, I saw some boys from my class, who were playing basketball, walking toward us. They recognized me, and their gazes lingered on my pants, now stained red. In that moment, my mom pushed me out of the way. "Do they know you? Come on, come on. Might as well let you embarrass yourself even more." Looking at the railing at waist height, I just wanted to jump down. The early March cold snap made me shiver uncontrollably, so I had no choice but to go back to the car to get my jacket. But my mom thought I was going to go home with her and angrily kicked me, after making a mess with blood on the seat. "What face do you have to be in my car? Don't come to my house this week. Go back to your dad's." Her cold glare was like a blade, each cut slowly severing the last bit of attachment I had to home. I numbly turned around, picked up the luggage she had thrown out of the car, and, with my head held high, walked back. The 15-kilometer journey took me more than 5 hours, trudging through the snow, one step deep, one step shallow. The sticky blood on my backside had already dried in the wind, hardening into a crust that clung to my parched skin. Suddenly, I remembered what my dad had once said to me: "No matter what happens, this will always be your home." But when I finally returned home, I found that the lock had been changed. My nose stung, and I wiped away my tears, calling out, "Dad." It was Aunt Luna who opened the door. She greeted me with a polite but distant smile. "Monica, what are you doing back here? Come in." Aunt Luna had 2 children with my dad, a boy and a girl. They huddled around my dad, babbling happily. And my dad seemed so content that he looked like he was about to fly. But the moment I appeared, the once cheerful home suddenly fell silent. I stood by the dining table where they had just eaten, and the lingering smell of the leftover food made my stomach embarrassingly growl. Aunt Luna asked if I had eaten, but then turned around and threw away the last bit of rice from the pot. I quickly shook my head. "I'm not hungry, I've eaten." Aunt Luna shot my dad a glance. "Martin, you should ask her why she suddenly came back." My dad reluctantly got up from the crawling mat when he saw me. His expression was complicated, and then, in anger, he pulled out his phone and dialed a number. The long wait only made his anger intensify. When the call finally connected, he started yelling, "What kind of mother are you, letting Monica come back alone at night? What do you mean I'm not responsible? Isn't she your daughter? You think I should take care of everything? Besides, I'm the one paying for Monica's living expenses and tuition, aren't I? You just want to rely on her and continue using me as your long-term meal ticket, don't you?" My dad hung up the phone, and Aunt Luna gave him a look before pulling him into the bedroom. Aunt Luna wasn't as young and beautiful as my mom, but she was responsible, capable, and compared to my immature, childlike biological mom, she was like a fairy who saved my dad's life and gave him the ideal warm home. As for me, I was like a ticking time bomb that could shatter the peace at any moment. Just my presence in this house made my dad anxious. The door wasn't fully closed, and I could hear Aunt Luna's choked sobs from inside. "I'm an innocent girl, and I've suffered so much marrying you, a man with a previous marriage. I already have to send money to your ex-wife every month, but now her daughter is living here too. You have no idea how cold that child's expression is. I'm afraid to say anything wrong and upset her. I think this home is better off with just you and your daughter." Her words felt like icy stones smashing into my body, so cold that my hands and feet went numb. I wanted to turn and run, but reason told me that the northern spring nights could still freeze a person to death. There was silence in the room for a moment. It seemed like my dad comforted Aunt Luna for a while. Then his voice, low but firm, said, "What are you talking about? How could this home be hers? Since that's the case, I'll go say it to her myself, so she doesn't come here again." After that, my dad said more, but it was as if my ears were submerged in deep water, and I couldn't hear a thing. When I woke up again, I found myself floating on the ceiling, lying in the hospital bed below me. My body was filled with tubes, and my face was devoid of life. My mom covered her mouth, eyes wide, pointing at me. She looked like a child who couldn't bear the consequences, holding onto my dad tightly. But then, she slapped my dad hard on the face. "You damn bastard, just because you're divorced, you've lost all your feelings, haven't you? Monica was alive when she went to your place. How is she now? Half dead." My mom's slap shattered the last bit of guilt and pride my dad had. He glanced at me, lying in the bed, his tone cold. I have 2 little ones at home, and since you're not married, you can take care of Monica from now on. My mom had always treated me as a pawn to threaten my dad emotionally. She directly pulled out the oxygen tube from my mouth and screamed at my dad. You don't care, fine, let her die then. But at that moment, Aunt Luna rushed in. She saw the slap mark on my dad's face and exploded. You, as a mother, don't care. We, Martin, are the ones paying and taking her in. What more do you want? Aunt Luna, seeing my critical condition, was even angrier. That little brat, usually no one can even get a word out of her, and last night she left without a word. Who's to blame if she freezes to death outside? She turned her anger on my dad, Martin. From now on, if you continue dealing with your ex-wife and her child, I'll leave with the 2 little ones. I'll remarry, let them call someone else dad. Each word Aunt Luna said hit my dad like a sharp knife. It was clear she hated me, and she hated the version of herself that had married my dad years ago, not knowing better. But at that moment, the heart monitor connected to me let out a loud, continuous beep before it went flat. Immediately, they all stopped arguing, but they just stared at me. No one spoke, and no one called the doctor. At this point, I was truly dying. When the doctor rushed in, my parents had already put the oxygen tube back in my mouth. They exchanged a glance, and even though they had just been yelling at each other, neither of them mentioned pulling out my oxygen tube earlier. The nurse checked my stats and almost screamed. Why was she transferred to a regular ward? How come her oxygen saturation dropped so suddenly? A group of nurses rushed over, desperately trying to resuscitate me with defibrillation. After a long while, the heart monitor kept flatlining. This child may not make it. Quick, transfer her to ICU. My parents rushed to the emergency room, and during the rescue, the doctor came out with a critical condition notice. My dad signed it, looking a bit dazed. After the doctor left, Aunt Luna came in, holding 2 crying little kids. My dad instinctively distanced himself from my mom, skillfully taking the kids from Aunt Luna, patting them on the back and singing nursery rhymes. But Aunt Luna looked at him with disdain, not appreciating his efforts with the children. I've made up my mind. I shouldn't have interfered with your relationship with your ex. Tomorrow we'll divorce. When my mom heard herself being named, she straightened up. Even if you divorce, I won't take this old man back. She said that, but I saw the smile at the corner of her mouth, disappearing in the shadows. As the tension mounted, another doctor suddenly rushed out of the emergency room. Who is Monica's guardian? The doctor's voice startled the child in my dad's arms. And my dad quickly kept patting them, signaling my mom with his eyes. Reluctantly, my mom went over. The doctor began explaining the treatment process. The child's frostbite is very severe, brain and organ oxygen deprivation, and the situation is still quite grim. My mom frowned. Just tell me straight, can she be saved? The doctor nodded. She can be saved. The nurse handed my mom the hospital bill. My mom looked at it, shocked, then threw it at my dad. My dad scratched his head. ICU really burns money. He used to be an IT guy, working relentlessly, with a yearly salary of $300,000, and paying off his house and car, but the IT industry was like rowing upstream. If you don't move forward, you fall behind. And in recent years, he had been completely overwhelmed by younger competitors. Seeing my dad's reaction, I quickly ran over to peek at the bill. $32,800, that was a hefty sum, and I saw my dad awkwardly ask Aunt Luna for advice. Aunt Luna was so upset. It seemed like she wanted to eat him alive. Save her. Why are you looking at me? If I don't save her and she dies, you'll blame me for the rest of your life. I brought the bank card. If necessary, we'll go bankrupt. My dad knew Aunt Luna was being sarcastic. He handed the bill to my mom. Let's split it, half and half. I'll pay $16,400. You pay $16,400. My mom exploded right there, oblivious to how many people in the hospital hallway were watching. Well, look at you. Back then, you set such high conditions to leave the kid with me. Now, I'm stuck with Monica and it's hard for me to remarry. Meanwhile, you're having a lovely time with your new mistress. Aunt Luna overheard. Mistress? Who's the mistress? Huh? My mom's voice came over sharply. I'm talking about you, you filthy thing. Shameless. You're nothing but a second-hand product. But you still crawl up to him and have a bunch of kids. With a loud bang, Aunt Luna kicked my mom. My mom stood up and, removing her high heels, returned the favor. a former wife and a current partner, fighting in front of my dad without care for their image. My dad sat in the corner, looking as though he wished the whole world would ignore him. Suddenly, he stood up and calmly declared, "Forget it, let it go, don't save her, I give up." I heard my dad say the word, "give up," with my own ears, lying motionless on the hospital bed. A tear rolled down my cheek. The nurse who had been removing the equipment and oxygen tubes gasped in shock, "Monica, can you hear me?" I could hear her, but I couldn't respond. The nurse sighed. "The doctor said you're young, and your recovery ability is strong. There's a good chance you could wake up. How can your parents be so cruel? Are you really their biological child?" I wanted to rush over and hug the nurse who spoke up for me, but, honestly, I wasn't sure if I wanted to live anymore. Suddenly, the door crashed open with a loud bang, and the nurse froze mid-motion, startled by the sudden intrusion of a woman. As soon as I saw her, I recognized her immediately. It was my favorite teacher, Hattie. "Wait, don't remove the tubes, reinsert the tubes. I've already arranged for the school to raise funds." Hattie, heavily pregnant and panting slightly, immediately started giving orders. "Keep her on life support for now." I noticed her round belly. The baby inside seemed to be doing well. Although Hattie looked delicate, she wasn't reckless when it came to decisions. She quickly directed the nurse to reinsert the tubes and then efficiently called my dad. Her tone was firm yet gentle. "Monica's father, please hold on a bit longer. I will organize a fundraiser for the expenses." I didn't know what my dad said on the phone, but Hattie suddenly got agitated. "What do you mean? An outsider shouldn't get involved. I'm her teacher. Monica has great talent in academics. She's consistently the top student, scoring perfect marks, such a wonderful child. How can you just dismiss her life like that?" What she said was true. I had been the top student for years, always scoring full marks, and I never once embarrassed the school in math competitions. But what did it matter? No one would feel happy for me because of that. My dad only cared about whether I was obedient at home and if I would upset Luna. My mom only cared about whether she was alone when going out with her boyfriend. Hattie looked at me, lying motionless on the bed, her voice almost desperate. "Monica is only 15 years old. I don't understand why her father would give up on her life like this. If it's about money, I've already arranged for a fundraiser at the school." I suspected my dad didn't just want to give up because of money. As long as I was alive, he could never fully sever his ties with my mom. That was something Luna couldn't accept, and neither could he. "I've already communicated with the hospital. Monica's mom has agreed. So how about you come over?" Hattie's words left my dad with no way out. I saw him call the funeral home as soon as he arrived. "I'm really sorry, but the child's burial clothes and coffin, could we cancel those for now?" It turned out that when he left earlier, he wasn't trying to raise money for me. He had been ordering my coffin. Various machines were connected to me, and my heartbeat gradually became stronger. A few days later, the doctor said I was out of danger and could be transferred to a general ward. Hattie was overjoyed. Her already cute round face now had a healthy blush. She immediately called my dad, but she waited until midnight, and after seeing my parents still hadn't come, she eventually fell asleep by my bed, grumbling in her sleep, still angry at my parents for their cold-heartedness. But they weren't heartless, they just had no love for me. After being in the general ward for more than half a month, the good news was that I had survived the danger. The bad news was that my parents, standing in the ward, heard the doctor's announcement and both frowned. "Vegetative state." My mom couldn't believe it. "Didn't you say she could be cured? How did she end up in a vegetative state? It's better not to treat her at all." My dad looked as though he had been struck by lightning, his hand trembling as he reached for a cigarette, but before he could light it, a nurse scolded him. My mom clutched the doctor desperately, but no matter how much she questioned or shouted, the doctor's response remained official. "We recommend conservative treatment. She's young, and there's a great chance she could wake up. You should talk to her more. It mostly depends on her will to wake up." Once the doctor and nurse left, Hattie came in with some comforting items for me, but something was off. The air pressure in the room dropped sharply, like the calm before a storm. My mom, gritting her teeth, turned to Hattie and sneered. "Are you happy now?" Hattie looked confused. "What's wrong? What's wrong?" My mom screamed and snatched the fruit basket from Hattie's hands, throwing it violently onto the floor. I desperately tried to stop my mom and shield Hattie, but the scattered fruit still hit Hattie's pregnant belly. Hattie clutched her belly in pain. "Monica's mom, please, Stay calm, calm, how can I stay calm? My mom was hysterical. Monica is a vegetable now, lying in bed for the rest of her life, needing someone to clean her up. Hattie could no longer stay calm. She pressed her fingertips against her stomach, turning pale. Vegetative, how did she end up like this? I felt the baby inside her stir in distress, but my mom wouldn't let up, pressing further. She was meant to die anyway. You insisted on saving her, insisted on saving her. I'm telling you, even if I have to carry her, I will take Monica to your house. Hattie's pupils contracted in fear, retreating hastily. My mom sneered. What's the matter? You can save her, but you can't raise her. This news couldn't be hidden for long. Aunt Luna quickly stormed in. I was caught in a whirlwind. Trailing behind Aunt Luna, who was arguing with my dad, they ended up arguing all the way to the doctor's office. Refund. How much is left in the account? Refund it all. Hattie was stunned. So was the doctor. At this moment, my dad and Aunt Luna came to an agreement. No more treatment. Why waste money on a vegetable? Aunt Luna turned to Hattie and asked, what about the money the school donated for Monica? Hattie looked at her in disbelief. I deposited it all into Monica's medical account. That's impossible. Aunt Luna didn't believe it. There are so many people in your school. How could there only be this little? Give us the rest of the money. I saw the tears welling up in Hattie's eyes as she defended herself. But there really is no more money. Aunt Luna began to maliciously speculate. Your school has tens of thousands of students. Even 50 yuan from each one would be more than this. Did you pocket it? You must have taken a cut. You have to give it back. If not, I'll go to the school and expose you. Hattie was so furious that her eyes rolled back, and 2 streams of blood began to slowly trickle down her thighs. I felt a desperate urge to help Hattie, but she collapsed anyway. I hurriedly followed as they carried Hattie away. The shock was too much for the pregnant woman. The baby has been prematurely born, but its heartbeat is gone. Quickly, send her to the provincial maternity hospital. Aunt Luna tried to get closer to see, but the head nurse shoved her away with disdain, forcing Aunt Luna to give up on demanding the donation money from Hattie. Hattie was lifted onto the ambulance, and as it was about to drive away, I found strength from somewhere, breaking through the physical boundaries and leaping into the ambulance. As the ambulance drove out of the hospital gates, I felt my soul weakening with each passing moment, but I didn't care anymore. I just wanted to see Hattie's baby be born safely. I anxiously followed the medical staff into the emergency room. During the process, Hattie's heartbeat stopped several times, but since she was pregnant, many life-saving measures couldn't be used, and initially, they could only rely on oxygen. I was frantic, pacing around, praying desperately by Hattie's side. Amid the roaring sounds of the machines, I heard the doctor's voice becoming more serious. The baby definitely can't be saved. Focus on saving the mother. Be careful of severe blood loss. What? The baby can't be saved. The baby can't be saved. Hattie had saved me out of kindness. Looking at Hattie, pale and weak, I felt hopeless and hated my parents more than ever. At that moment, I was so weak that I could only slump beside Hattie's bed, too exhausted to even open my eyes. As I leaned next to Hattie's bed, I felt as if my time was running out. At that very moment, a forgotten memory from my past suddenly resurfaced. I remembered everything, that night. After my dad had just finished arguing with my mom on the phone about whether I should live or die, Aunt Luna dragged him into the bedroom. Through the half-open door, I heard Aunt Luna complaining to my dad about my cold attitude. Even though I knew she was deliberately saying it for my dad to hear, I still restrained the impulse to rush out. Sure enough, when Aunt Luna saw me still standing in the living room, her gaze became even fiercer. She then walked out of the room and handed me a glass of milk. I was about to thank her, but Aunt Luna instead gave me 10 yuan. Monica, can you help me pick up my clothes from the dry cleaner? I glanced at the 10 yuan in my hand, my stomach growling with hunger, but Aunt Luna's gaze didn't leave any room for argument. 10 yuan for your bus fare. Be good, just help Aunt Luna out. Just then, my dad came out of his study and saw Aunt Luna giving me milk and money. But I was standing there with a blank expression. He immediately got angry and acted as if he were going to kick me. Monica, are you dead? Who are you showing that ugly face to in my house? Aunt Luna is so kind to you. Is this how you usually behave? Tears of pain welled up in my eyes. I wasn't foolish. I knew Aunt Luna was probably trying to get rid of me, so I reluctantly followed Aunt Luna's instructions and went out the door. I took the 10 yuan and got on the bus Aunt Luna had mentioned, heading to the dry cleaner, but when I arrived at the dry cleaner, the owner told me there was no record of any clothes under the name Luna. I stood there in shock for half a minute, and then everything became clear to me. In the northern spring night, heavy snow was falling. The instinct to survive pushed me to look for warmth, searching for a mall. But my hands and feet were growing numb, and an overwhelming drowsiness washed over me, causing me to fall uncontrollably. Unable to fight the overwhelming sleepiness, I finally collapsed into a snowbank. I didn't dare to think about why the milk Aunt Luna had given me tasted bitter. I heard the sound of dogs barking from the side of the road, possibly a few adults walking their dogs despite the cold. I knew that if I made a sound, would be saved, but suddenly, I didn't want to anymore. In the next life, even being a blade of grass would be better than this. But when I woke up again, I found myself floating on the ceiling. I saw doctors desperately trying to save me. Hattie was doing everything she could to raise money for me. But every time I tried to return to my body, my soul resisted, repeatedly asking me, "Do you really want to go back to that home where no one cares about you?" No. I don't want to. I am so tired. My closed eyes don't want to open again. In the second before I lost consciousness, I leaned against Hattie's bed, hearing her gentle murmur, "Monica, are you here? I think I can feel you. Are you worried about the baby inside me? Don't be sad. It's not your fault the baby is gone. I've known all along that this baby had congenital defects. I just rushed into motherhood too eagerly. Some things just can't be kept. Things that can't be kept can never be kept, so that's how it is. I can finally leave this world with peace." Meanwhile, in another room, the doctor removed the tubes from my body and announced my death to my parents. Monica's breathing failed suddenly. "We did our best. Please accept our condolences." After the doctor left, my dad immediately dialed the familiar number. "Hey, are the funeral clothes and coffins still available?" "Yes, yes. Don't refund them. My daughter is dead. They'll be perfect for her." After my funeral was arranged, my dad hung my memorial photo in the living room. Aunt Luna immediately snatched it down. "Are you really going to hang Monica's memorial photo next to our wedding photo? Don't you think that's unlucky?" My dad's voice was loud. "What's the problem? She's my daughter." "Huh, now that I'm dead. He remembers I'm his daughter." "No, I can't stand looking at it. Take it to her mom's place." Aunt Luna nervously glanced at my memorial photo, then argued with my dad to take it down. "Huh, now you're scared. When you were trying to harm me, weren't you scared?" My dad suddenly became concerned about my mom. "Your mom still hasn't found a new partner. It wouldn't be right to send the memorial photo over there." Aunt Luna was furious upon hearing this. "What do you mean? You still care about her finding a partner? You want to get back together? Is that it?" "No, no. I'll just take Monica's memorial photo over now." I found my dad's reaction strange. Normally, he would argue back strongly at Aunt Luna, but today he suddenly became meek. I followed my dad and got into his car. "Tina," my dad called my mom's name, banging on the door. When my mom didn't come to open it, my dad extended his finger and lightly pressed the fingerprint lock. With a click, the fingerprint lock opened. They had divorced. But my mom still kept my dad's fingerprint. "Tisk, TSK, so much alcohol, and now that your daughter is dead, you still have the nerve to drink." My dad cursed as he stepped inside, covering his nose in disgust, struggling to find space to step among the dirty clothes and bottles. "You should at least try to live like a decent person. Drinking all the time, it would be best if you drank yourself to death. How can your place be this filthy? Now that Monica is dead, no one is here to clean up after you." "Huh?" My dad placed my memorial photo in my mom's room, then went to knock on her bedroom door. "Tina, are you there?" There was a loud crash, as if something had fallen to the floor in the bedroom. Then, a shirtless man ran out of my mom's bedroom in a panic. He froze when he saw my dad. The man quickly ran away, and only then did my mom lazily and drunkenly emerge from the bedroom. My dad's anger flared up immediately. "I've left Monica's memorial photo here. I'm leaving." My dad turned with a frown to leave, but my mom tightly grabbed him. "Martin, Monica is dead. Will we ever meet again?" It turns out, I was just a tool to control my dad's feelings for my mom. "Get it straight, we're divorced." My dad shook my mom off, but he didn't leave completely. My mom, sensing his hesitation, slithered around his waist like a snake, her warm alcohol breath on his neck. "Martin, I know you still love me. We can't be husband and wife, but this Just this will be enough. I was stunned. They're divorced. My dad is with Aunt Luna. But they actually went back to the room, and then I could hear my mom making unspeakable sounds from inside the room. I quietly turned away and covered my ears. Aunt Luna, is this your retribution? My dad has left Monica's memorial photo in your living room. My dad finished getting dressed, and with my mom, he issued a final ultimatum. I'm really going back now. Don't ever contact me again. Fine, fine, you've said that before. My mom smiled with a hint of vindictive satisfaction as she watched my dad's determined departure. Then I saw her take a bottle of pills from the drawer. The instruction manual fell out. I bent down to look, and although I recognized all the words, they felt strangely unfamiliar together. Future Biotech Limited, HIV, AIDS prevention. Wait, HIV prevention. My mom just did that with my dad, and it seems like it wasn't the first time. The day after tomorrow will be the 7th day since Monica passed away. Should we find a sorcerer to pray for her? Aunt Luna had been running a high fever for several days. And that night, she couldn't hold back anymore and said this to my dad, but my dad was already exhausted from working overtime and had no intention of taking time off to do any prayers. He simply comforted Aunt Luna. Prayers are just a scam, don't overthink it. Aunt Luna nodded and lay back down. But at midnight, Aunt Luna suddenly sat up, waking with a start. I feel like she's here. Your daughter is dead, but she's still here. My dad, snoring loudly, turned over and didn't pay any attention to Aunt Luna. At that moment, the little baby next to Aunt Luna suddenly began to cry loudly. Monica. Aunt Luna's eyes widened in panic as she looked around the dark room suspiciously. She seemed to be having a fit, trembling and shouting, I didn't harm you. I really didn't harm you. Whatever grudge or hatred you had, don't take it out on my child. I found it all particularly ridiculous. She thought that her current illness was due to my ghost haunting her. Shoo, it's okay. Aunt Luna cooed to the baby, gently nursing him. She was particularly concerned about her little son, who was nearly 2 but still nursed. I watched as she expertly fed the baby, who calmed down immediately. That night, Aunt Luna hardly slept. Her fever came and went, making her feel terribly uncomfortable. So, before dawn, Aunt Luna woke my dad again. Martin, how come, as soon as your daughter dies, I suddenly fall ill with a fever, feel weak, and develop red spots on my body? It must be her coming back to take revenge on me. My dad thought this was utterly nonsensical. Stop imagining things. Monica was a good child. How could she harm you? Because Aunt Luna's eyes were filled with fear. Because I put medicine in her milk, but I didn't mean to harm her. Wasn't she on her period? She had stomach pain, so I gave her some sleeping pills to make her feel better. At this point, she was still making excuses. No normal person would believe this. I know, you meant well. Monica was just immature. Stop overthinking it. If you're not feeling well, go to the hospital, my dad said, pulling out his phone and transferring money to Aunt Luna. Here's your bonus from last month. Take it. My dad tried to comfort Aunt Luna, and she nodded dully. Yes, you're right. She just didn't understand. I was only trying to help. Self-deception, and it was pretty pathetic. I've taken time off from work. Maybe we should pray for Monica tomorrow, my dad said in the middle of the night, after having come down with a fever and feeling weak, just like the stories about ghosts seeking revenge. He, who had never believed in the supernatural, was now starting to feel guilty. He endured his discomfort while speaking to the air. Monica, if you can make us better, let me know what you need in a dream. I'll buy it all for you. Yes, Monica, Aunt knows she was wrong. Please stop haunting us. You'll still need us to burn money for you in the afterlife. You need to bless us with good health so we can earn money to burn paper for you and buy things. My dad and Aunt Luna were truly ignorant. They had been running high fevers for days without going to the hospital. Yet they were desperately praying to me, but I knew that the evil fruit my mom had sown would soon bear fruit. That night, I heard Aunt Luna crying hysterically, Martin, Martin, come look at our baby. He has a rash all over. Oh no, his forehead is burning hot. It's bad. He's having a seizure. Don't let him bite his tongue. Call an ambulance. Quickly, call an ambulance. I watched coldly as they scrambled around. After some tests, the pediatrician looked at my parents with some astonishment and suggested gently, have you had your blood tested? Blood test? What do you mean? My dad, feverish and tired, asked. I'm a little feverish. What's going on? What illness? I'll give you a referral form. go to the second floor and get tested, the pediatrician said, directing my dad and Aunt Luna to the special infectious disease clinic on the second floor. Not long after, the results for my dad, Aunt Luna, and their baby came in, HIV, 2 clear lines. Aunt Luna collapsed to the floor, wailing loudly in the hospital lobby. She slapped my dad to the ground. Tell me, what have you been doing outside? Unfortunately, the joys and sorrows of humans are not shared. As they argued loudly, I only felt a sense of relief. Aunt Luna painfully hugged the crying baby in her arms. He's only 2 years old. Only 2, you've ruined me. Ruined the child. You're not human at all. My dad seemed to have lost his soul, collapsing in silence. Suddenly, in a fit of rage, he rushed out of the hospital. I clung to his back, feeling the burning fury in his chest. My dad grabbed a knife and rushed to my mom's apartment door. Tina, you filthy bitch, you dragged my whole family to hell. Aunt Luna chased after him. At the door of my mom's apartment, Aunt Luna saw my dad skillfully unlock the door with his fingerprint. Aunt Luna understood everything now. Her anger exploded as she stomped her feet. Bastard, bastard, I cut ties with my parents and married you, a second marriage, and you're still sleeping with her. My dad charged inside, with Aunt Luna following him, but inside my mom's bedroom, there was still the unmistakable sound of joy. Anger overtook my dad's reason. He swung the knife and kicked open the bedroom door. You damn bitch, I'm going to kill you. The tip of the knife pointing down, blood splattered against the wall. Ah! Along with my mom's screams, the man inside the room curled up in fear. My dad, frantic, tried to stab the innocent man beside my mom a few more times. Aunt Luna stepped forward, desperately grabbing my dad's hand. Stop, Martin, stop, don't do something stupid, don't do something stupid. Amid Aunt Luna's and my mom's screams, the sound of a police siren quickly echoed from downstairs. In the end, Aunt Luna managed to stop my dad, but even though it was an attempted murder, he would still be sentenced to prison. The police quickly took my dad away. Aunt Luna, overnight, lost her financial support and was diagnosed with untreatable HIV. As for my mom, her spine was severed by my dad's knife. Now, she can only lie in a wheelchair, her lower body paralyzed. She stared out at the bright spring sunlight but only felt irritated. Monica, my mom suddenly looked towards me, but her gaze passed right through my soul and looked into the distance. So this is what it feels like when no one speaks. If only you were still here with me, taking care of me. I'm sorry, Monica, please be my daughter in the next life. A burst of white light rushed towards me, and the world before my eyes gradually became blurred and distant. This time, I was really leaving. But do people really have a next life? If there is one, let me be a cat or a fish. Anything is better than being a human. The surrounding light slowly shifted from white to warm yellow, and then to a vivid red. I felt myself being pushed into a small body, and my memories began to fade and blur. Then, that familiar beeping sound filled my ears. Amidst the noise, a man's voice stood out, loudly cheering. It's here, it's a girl. Look, Daddy bought you so many clothes, toys, and milk. Come here for a kiss. But immediately after, a gentle yet tired voice quickly stopped him. No kisses. Did you disinfect your mouth? Ha ha ha, so happy. Thank you, my wife. Long live my wife. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in a world full of unfamiliar sounds and noises. I cried loudly and was soon held in warm, big hands. Ah, it's so warm and smells so good. It's the warmth I've longed for so long. Extra story 1. I am 5 years old this year and attend a small class at kindergarten. Today, while waiting for my mom to pick me up after school, I saw a group of little bullies picking on an older boy on the road. The boy was skinny and weak, with a sickly yellow complexion. He was crouching, holding his head, taking punches and spit from the bullies. The bullies were calling him a murderer and mocking him for having AIDS. The boy was about 15 or 16 years old. He stood up countless times, clenching his fists to fight back, but he was beaten even harder. I felt really anxious and wanted to help, but my mom said I was only 5 and needed to ensure my own safety first. Fortunately, the boy's guardian arrived soon. It was an elderly woman with a hunched back, so thin that her bones were visible. A crying little girl, demanding chocolate cake, was following her, but the old woman didn't agree and slapped the little girl across the face. Always thinking about food, don't bother me. The girl cried even louder. The bullies quickly noticed them, but instead of backing off, the bullies mocked, "Here comes the AIDS family, the murderer's wife bringing the little murderer, you little brat, if you keep talking like that, I'll tear your mouth off." The old woman stomped her feet in anger, but her little daughter was still crying, "I want chocolate cake, today's my birthday, I want birthday cake." The little girl completely ignored her mother's anger and kept demanding cake. Seeing that the old woman was about to slap her again, I couldn't bear it. Hesitantly, I took out the snacks my mom had given me. "Big sister, I'll give this to you, it's chocolate flavored." The little girl's eyes lit up as she stared at the chocolate cookies I was holding. I extended the cookies further towards her. "Here, try it, my mom says it tastes really good." The old woman snatched the cookies from my hand and shoved them into the little girl's pocket. "Take it. But don't make a fool of yourself next time." She then scolded her daughter. "You see this little girl, look at her clothes and shoes, now look at yours." I suddenly noticed that the little girl's clothes were faded, her pants too big and old, and her shoes were patched clumsily with black thread. The little girl gazed longingly at the remaining cookies in my hand. I gave her all the snacks I had left in my bag. Just then, I heard my mom calling me from behind, "Joy, Joy." I turned around and ran towards her. My mom glanced at the old woman in the distance and suddenly froze. I thought she was angry that I had spoken to a stranger, so I quickly lowered my head and apologized. "Sorry, Mom, I won't talk to strangers next time." "It's okay, Joy, you just shared your snacks." Such a thoughtful child. Why would I be mad? Mom always says I'm too sensible and don't act like a 5-year-old. She couldn't help but glance at the old woman again and started chatting with me. "Actually, Mom knows that woman, I remember her name is Luna. She was the stepmother of a student I used to teach. When I was pregnant with your brother, this woman falsely accused me of stealing the school's donation funds. I was so angry, I went into premature labor. That poor student of mine couldn't be saved because of their neglect." Mom spoke in a nostalgic tone, but for some reason, it deeply affected me. She smiled, reassured me, and continued, "Thankfully, your brother survived miraculously in the incubator. Now, years have passed. This woman married a second husband and had a daughter with him, while still bringing her child from her first marriage, but her illness is AIDS, which can be transmitted from mother to child." I didn't quite understand the relationship, so I asked Mom, "What does remarried mean, and where's their original father?" Mom tilted her head, thought for a moment, and explained in simple terms. Their father tried to kill his ex-wife, and since he never gained her forgiveness, he's still in prison, so Luna married her current husband, bringing her child from her previous marriage. She had another child, not caring about the consequences, but that could have hurt the child. That little girl will probably need to take HIV prevention medication for her whole life. While talking, Mom helped me take off my backpack and carry me to the car, but during this, I accidentally spilled the milk I was holding. I knew it was Mom's new car, and the seat hadn't even been covered yet. Now it was wet and sticky, and I couldn't clean it properly. I knew my mom wouldn't scold me, but I couldn't stop myself from crying out of fear. I grabbed a tissue to clean up the seat. "Sorry, Mom, I'll clean it right away." Mom took the tissue from my hand, surprised but not angry. "I'm not a miser. It's just spilled milk. If it's not intentional, why would I blame you? Besides, if it gets dirty, we'll just take it to the car wash. No need to be so nervous." I sighed in relief. The anxiety that had built up inside me vanished. "Let's go pick up your brother and wait for your dad to come home, then we can go have a big dinner." Hearing that we were going to pick up my brother from school, I immediately stopped crying and smiled. Mom was driving ahead. On the way, she kept complaining about me. She said I was my brother's little shadow. Even though she and Dad spoiled me, my favorite person was still my brother. Extra story 2, Hattie's perspective. More than a decade ago, there was a very gifted student in my class, Monica. This girl, who once had a bright smile, became increasingly quiet and withdrawn after her father remarried and had new children. I was heartbroken when Monica collapsed on the way home and froze into critical condition due to fainting in the snow, but her parents wanted to give up on her treatment. Despite my desperate efforts to raise money and help, Monica still passed away. The doctor said she died of respiratory failure, but I feel that what killed her wasn't an accident, it was the indifference of her family. I knew Monica had visited me before she passed away. At that time, I was lying in the emergency room. Several times, I saw Monica jumping around. staying by my side, cheering me on. I saw her face full of guilt and anxiety. She even knelt down, saying she was willing to trade her life for the baby inside me. How foolish. Why did she take on the misfortunes of others as her own? Didn't her own life matter? When I came out of the emergency room, the premature baby inside me had already been delivered by the doctors. My husband and family rushed over, relieved that I was fine, but they said nothing about the baby. What was the chance that a premature baby would survive? I knew all too well, this wasn't anyone's fault. Perhaps due to post-birth hormone imbalances, I lay in the hospital bed, crying uncontrollably. At that moment, I felt Monica's presence. I could feel her lying beside me, exhausted, as if she was holding on with her last bit of strength. So, I comforted her, explaining that I lost the baby due to a congenital defect, and that even though I had lost it, it wasn't her fault. It was in that moment. I felt Monica finally closing her eyes. She left without regret. I hurriedly reached out and felt around the side of the bed, but her breath was gone, really gone. Tears flowed uncontrollably. All I could do was speak to the air. Monica, in the next life, be my child. I'll name you Joy. I don't need you to be the top student, or to be extra good and sensible. Our whole family will spoil you. Just be happy and simple your whole life. Perhaps heaven heard my prayers, or perhaps good people are rewarded. The premature baby that the doctors had declared dead came back to life. The doctors were amazed by the newborn's tenacity. Our family gathered around the incubator, watching the tiny baby who had just opened his eyes, and we felt the joy of having something we thought we had lost. The child gradually grew up. He was a mischievous boy, and raising him was hard work, but in the process, we also learned how to be parents. When he reached middle school, something unexpected happened. I found out I was pregnant. My husband went to church every week to pray, hoping for my health and for a girl in my belly. Even my son, who was in his teenage years and often had an attitude, filled the shopping cart with clothes and dolls for his little sister. It felt like a premonition. Our whole family thought the baby inside me was going to be a girl. After 35, you're considered a high-risk pregnancy, but this time, the checkups went smoothly. The doctors even praised how well the baby was growing, joking that this child must have waited for a long time in heaven to choose me as their mother. Thanks to the doctor, I barely had any morning sickness. The entire pregnancy was easy and healthy. My husband said this child was practically sent to repay us. On the day I gave birth, the whole family was prepared, and the obstetrician, knowing I was an older mother, was ready for any complications. But when I entered the delivery room, within half an hour, I had given birth. The nurses were stunned, saying the baby was so considerate, managing to come out without causing any pain to me. For some reason, at that moment, I thought of you, Monica. My husband asked me, what should we name our daughter? Should we pick a name with a princess vibe, or a powerful queen-like name? I spontaneously said, Joy. Let's call her Joy. A life full of happiness and simplicity, Monica. I didn't think of my daughter as you, but as she grew up, she really started to resemble you more and more. She's still just a little child, but she always thinks about the adults first. Her older brother was ready to take care of her, but when she came, she followed him everywhere, thinking of him instead. When my in-laws saw us spoiling the younger child while buying things, they scolded us for being biased. But when they actually saw the younger one, so obedient and angelic, they would have gladly taken the moon from the sky to give it to her. Her older brother wasn't jealous, because the little sister was too considerate. Even when we left all the good food for her, she wouldn't touch it and would save it to eat when her brother came home from school. She really was like an angel. As she grew older, I also discovered her incredible talent in math. I remembered how, in your 3 years of middle school, you participated in many math competitions for the school and won numerous gold medals, and my daughter, at only 4 or 5 years old, would always grab her brother's math books and study them, babbling away. Monica, she's so much like you. In this life, you really did become my daughter, didn't you? After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. If you liked our video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share our channel. See you next time.